You think you're lazy, but you're not. You're under a soft-spoken spell, one that whispers in the quiet moments of your day, wait until it's perfect. But the truth is, perfection isn't your ally. It's your delay spell. It doesn't protect you from failure or judgment or pain. It postpones you from living, from creating, from becoming who you're meant to be. This isn't a video about productivity hacks or time management techniques. This is a reclamation of your power to begin, even when everything inside you feels messy and uncertain and incomplete. If you've ever felt frozen by your own sensitivity, overwhelmed by invisible pressure to get it right before you even start, this is your quiet liberation. Are you ready to meet yourself beneath the spiritual performance? Let's begin. There's a moment that exists in the space between inspiration and action, just before you begin something that matters to you. It's subtle and sacred and filled with static electricity, like the air before a storm. You feel the urge rising from somewhere deep inside you, the impulse to write that story, speak that truth, build that dream, create that thing that's been living in your imagination for months or maybe even years. But then it happens, this phenomenon that's become so familiar you barely notice it anymore. A fog descends, like soft velvet wrapping around your clarity, muffling the voice that was just moments ago so clear and certain. And you tell yourself the same story you've told yourself 100 times before. Not now. Not yet. I need to feel ready. And so another day passes without action. Another inspiration fades into the background noise of your busy life. Another version of your soul gets postponed indefinitely. But what if I told you that what you call procrastination, what you've been judging yourself for, what you've been calling laziness or lack of discipline, is actually a coded form of self-protection? Not protection from laziness or incompetence, but protection from misalignment, from rejection, from the vulnerable exposure that comes with putting yourself out there before you feel absolutely certain you won't be judged or criticized or found lacking. This fear you carry isn't irrational or childish or something you should just get over. It's ancestral. It lives in the nervous system of every creator who was once punished for trying, every sensitive soul who learned early that vulnerability can be dangerous, every dreamer who discovered that showing up imperfectly can lead to pain. Today, we're going to peel back the illusion of perfection that's been running your life. We're going to unravel the spiritual and psychological roots of your delay, not with discipline or force or pushing through, but with devotion and understanding and deep compassion for the part of you that's been trying so hard to keep you safe. Because procrastination isn't your enemy. It's a message, misunderstood, and crying out for the kind of gentle attention that can transform it from a prison into a portal. When delay becomes your prison, let's start with acknowledging what's really happening inside you. You want to begin. You're not lacking in ideas or passion or vision. In fact, you're overflowing with creative energy, so full of inspiration that sometimes it feels like it might burst out of you. You care so deeply about your projects, your dreams, your potential impact on the world, that sometimes the caring itself becomes overwhelming. And that's precisely where the problem begins. Because somewhere along the way in your development as a human being, you learned that care must come with control. You internalize the belief that if you really love something, if it really matters to you, then you must not let it fail. You must not present it to the world until it's absolutely perfect, until every possible criticism has been anticipated and addressed, until there's no chance of it being misunderstood or rejected or found wanting. So you wait. You tell yourself you're being strategic, being wise, being responsible. But in that waiting, something else begins to grow in the fertile soil of your delay. Doubt takes root like ivy, spreading through your confidence until it's hard to remember what you were so excited about in the first place. Self-abandonment masquerades as wisdom, telling you that the voice inside that wants to create is naive and needs to be managed by the more practical voice that knows how dangerous it is to be seen. Inaction disguises itself as divine timing, spiritual bypassing that makes you feel enlightened for not moving forward when really you're just scared. You tell yourself, with all the spiritual language you've learned, I'll start when I feel aligned. I'll begin when the universe gives me a clear sign. I'll take action when I feel certain this is the right path. But the alignment never comes, not in the way you're expecting it. The clear sign remains elusive. The certainty you're waiting for stays just out of reach. Because you're waiting for a feeling that only arrives after you move, after you take the first imperfect step into the unknown. You're waiting for the fire of inspiration to consume your fear, when it is your very step forward, your willingness to begin despite the fear that ignites the flame. This is the cruel paradox of perfectionism, the way it promises clarity while delivering paralysis, the way it keeps your soul in an eternal holding pattern, like a plane circling the runway, burning fuel, using energy, going nowhere. The deeper truth that most people won't tell you is that you're not actually afraid of failure. Failure, while painful, is something most of us can recover from. What you're really afraid of is judgment, of being seen as insufficient or incompetent or not ready, of confirming the whispered doubt that maybe, just maybe, you're not enough as you are right now. Take a moment here and ask yourself, in what area of your life is this delay spell strongest? Where do you feel the pull to create, to express, to share something meaningful, but find yourself caught in the endless loop of not yet, not ready? Notice what comes up without judging it. This awareness is the beginning of your freedom. Let me tell you about Maya, the artist who never shows her work. She's 34 now, with a spare bedroom full of canvases turned toward the wall, paintings that no one has ever seen except her. Maya remembers the exact moment her creative confidence shattered. She was 7 years old, sitting at the kitchen table with her watercolors, painting what she thought was the most beautiful tree she had ever created. The trunk was purple, the leaves were every color of the rainbow, and there was a small door at the base where she imagined fairies lived. When her mother walked by and saw the painting, she stopped and said, with the kind of gentle correction that feels like love but cuts like a knife, "Oh, sweetie, trees aren't purple. Let me show you how to make a proper tree." And before Maya could protest, her mother had taken the brush and painted over Maya's magical purple trunk with brown, explaining as she worked that trees have brown trunks and green leaves, that art should look realistic, that there's a right way and a wrong way to see the world. Maya learned something profound that day, something that would shape her next 27 years of life. She learned that her natural way of seeing was wrong, that her instincts couldn't be trusted, that her creative impulses needed to be filtered through someone else's idea of what was correct or appropriate or good enough. And so now, 30 decades later, Maya still paints in secret, still creates her purple trees and rainbow leaves, but she keeps them hidden because that 7-year-old inside her is still bracing for the correction that taught her that her authentic expression was somehow not quite right. Now, let me tell you about David, the entrepreneur who has 17 different business ideas written in notebooks that he's never shown to anyone. David remembers being 12 years old, bursting with excitement about an invention he dreamed up, a new kind of bicycle that could transform into a scooter. He spent weeks drawing detailed plans, calculating how it would work, imagining how he could sell it to other kids in his neighborhood. When he finally worked up the courage to show his father, expecting enthusiasm and support, his father looked at the drawings for exactly 30 seconds before saying, "Son, if this was a good idea, someone would have already invented it. You need to focus on realistic goals." That moment taught David that his ideas were naive, that dreaming big was a form of foolishness, that before sharing anything with the world, he needed to be absolutely certain it would succeed. And so now, at 38, he still gets excited about new possibilities, still fills notebooks with business plans and innovative concepts, but he never takes action because that 12-year-old inside him is still hearing his father's voice, saying that if it was worth doing, someone else would have already done it. These aren't stories about bad parents or traumatic childhoods. Maya's mother was trying to teach her daughter about the world. David's father thought he was protecting his son from disappointment, but the impact of these well-meaning corrections was profound and lasting. They planted seeds of doubt that grew into full-grown trees of perfectionism, creating internal systems that prioritize safety over authenticity, approval over expression, certainty over courage. This is the deeper truth about procrastination that most productivity advice misses entirely. It's not about time management or discipline or motivation. It's about a nervous system that learned early that being seen in your imperfection can be dangerous, that vulnerability can lead to correction or rejection, or the kind of subtle shaming that feels like love but teaches you to mistrust your own instincts. Your delay isn't laziness. It's loyalty to an old wound that's still trying to protect you from experiencing that original pain again. It's a sophisticated defense system that would rather keep you safe and small than risk the possibility of being misunderstood or found wanting. But here's what that wounded part of you doesn't understand. The safety it's providing is actually a prison, and the protection it offers is preventing you from the very thing your soul came here to do. Pause here and ask yourself, what's your version of Maya's purple tree or David's transforming bicycle? What creative impulse or authentic expression did you learn to hide because it didn't fit someone else's idea of what was right or realistic or good enough? Can you feel the presence of that younger part of you that's still waiting for permission to be seen exactly as you are?
Now, I want you to breathe. Come back to this moment, to your body, sitting wherever you are, to the simple fact of your existence right now. Feel your feet on the ground if you're standing, or the weight of your body in your chair if you're sitting. Notice that you are not in Maya's childhood kitchen. You are not in David's living room facing his father's dismissal. You are here, now, in a moment where no punishment awaits your imperfection, where no correction is coming for your willingness to try, where no perfection is required for your fundamental worthiness as a human being. You've been conditioned, through years of cultural messaging and personal experience, to believe that spiritual alignment means feeling clear and certain and ready before you take action. But alignment isn't a feeling that you wait for like a bus that may or may not come. Alignment is a practice, a rhythm you create through presence and attention and willingness to show up exactly as you are. It's something you do, not something you feel. It's a choice you make moment by moment to honor both your humanity and your divinity, your fears and your longings, your limitations and your potential. The soul doesn't wait for perfection before it begins creating. It creates through imperfection, through the messy process of trial and error and discovery. It moves in spirals rather than straight lines, taking detours and making mistakes and finding beauty in the unexpected turns. It stumbles forward with grace, sings off key and finds harmony in the discord, learns by leaping into the unknown with nothing but trust in its own resilience and capacity to figure things out as it goes. The myth that you must feel ready before you begin, that you must have all the answers before you start asking the questions, that you must be certain before you can be sincere, is the very prison that's keeping you from your purpose. It's a lie that's so culturally accepted that it feels like truth, so commonly believed that questioning it feels radical. But question it we must, because your life is waiting on the other side of this belief system that's been running your choices. Clarity isn't a precondition for action. It's a byproduct of movement, something that emerges through the process of engaging with life rather than something you figure out before you engage. Confidence isn't required for courage. Courage creates confidence through the simple act of showing up despite the fear, of moving forward even when you can't see the whole staircase. Your soul isn't waiting for you to be perfect or ready or certain. It's waiting for you to be present, to be willing, to be brave enough to begin exactly where you are with exactly what you have. Here's a question for you to sit with. What dream have you been postponing while waiting for the right time? What would it cost you to wait another year? Another 5 years? What is the price of your perfectionism, not just to you, but to the world that's waiting for what you have to offer? Before we talk about rewiring old patterns, I want to address something that might be stirring in you as you recognize yourself in these stories. You might be thinking that your sensitivity, your deep feeling, Your capacity to be wounded by criticism or correction is a weakness that needs to be fixed or overcome. But I want to offer you a completely different perspective, one that could change everything about how you see yourself and your creative process. Your sensitivity isn't your weakness, it's your superpower disguised as vulnerability. The same depth of feeling that makes you afraid of judgment is exactly what makes your creative expression unique and necessary in the world. You feel things others miss. You notice subtleties that escape less sensitive souls. You have access to emotional landscapes that most people never explore. Your sensitivity is like a finely tuned instrument, capable of detecting frequencies and nuances that others simply cannot perceive. Think about it. The artists whose work moves you most deeply, the writers whose words feel like they're speaking directly to your soul, the creators who make you feel less alone in the world, they're all highly sensitive people who learn to use their sensitivity as a compass rather than carry it as a burden. Maya's ability to see purple trees isn't a flaw to be corrected, it's a gift to be celebrated. David's capacity to imagine transforming bicycles isn't naive dreaming, it's visionary thinking that the world desperately needs. Your sensitivity allows you to feel the pain of disconnection so acutely because you have an equally profound capacity for connection. You're afraid of being misunderstood because you understand others so deeply. You fear judgment because you have such a refined sense of what authentic expression looks and feels like. The very qualities that make you vulnerable to being hurt by criticism are the same qualities that allow you to create something that touches people's hearts and changes their lives. The solution isn't to become less sensitive. The solution is to learn to use your sensitivity as a guide toward what wants to be expressed through you, rather than as a reason to hide what wants to be expressed. Your heightened awareness of how things could go wrong is actually information about how much your creative expression matters to you. Your fear of imperfection is evidence of how deeply you care about doing meaningful work. Imagine for a moment that your sensitivity is not a design flaw, but a design feature. Imagine that you were given this particular nervous system, this specific way of feeling and perceiving, because the world needs exactly what you have to offer when you show up as your full, authentic, gloriously sensitive self. Imagine that your reluctance to begin isn't evidence of your inadequacy, but evidence of your integrity, your unwillingness to put something into the world that doesn't feel true and meaningful and aligned with your deepest values. What if your procrastination isn't a problem to be solved, but a message to be understood? What if it's your sensitivity trying to tell you that whatever you're being called to create matters so much that it deserves to be birthed with consciousness and care? What if the very depth of your feeling about getting it right is exactly what will make it beautiful when you finally allow it to be born? Take a moment to write about this. How has your sensitivity been a gift in your life, even when it felt like a curse? When has your deep feeling led you towards something beautiful or meaningful or true? Can you begin to see your procrastination not as evidence of your weakness, but as evidence of how much your creative expression matters to your sensitive soul? Now let's do some real work together, some gentle rewiring of the patterns that have been running your life without your conscious consent. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending your fears don't exist. This is about re-educating your nervous system, about teaching the part of you that learned to freeze that it's safe to move, that it's safe to be seen, that it's safe to exist imperfectly in a world that is itself beautifully imperfect. I'm going to guide you through a practice that will take about 5 minutes. If you're able to, find a comfortable place to sit where you won't be interrupted. If you're driving or walking, you can do this practice mentally, but if possible, I encourage you to give yourself the gift of stopping and being present for this healing work. Close your eyes or soften your gaze downward. Begin by simply noticing your breath without trying to change it. Feel the natural rhythm of inhaling and exhaling, the way your body knows exactly how to breathe without any conscious effort from you. This is your reminder that your body has wisdom, that there are processes happening inside you that don't require your control or management or perfection. Now place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Feel the warmth of your own touch, the steady rhythm of your heartbeat, the gentle rise and fall of your breath. This is your anchor, your reminder that you are alive and safe and worthy exactly as you are in this moment. Let your touch be medicine for the part of you that's been carrying so much responsibility for keeping you safe. Take 3 deep breaths with me. Inhale slowly through your nose, filling your belly first, then your chest. Hold for just a moment, then exhale slowly through your mouth, letting go of any tension you're carrying in your body. Again, inhale deeply, letting the breath reach all the way down to your pelvic floor. Hold, and exhale, releasing any anxiety about not being ready, not being perfect, not being enough. One more time, breathe in safety and possibility. Hold, and breathe out the old story that says you have to wait until you're perfect to begin. Now, I want you to imagine your younger self, the part of you that first learned that being seen in your imperfection could be dangerous. Maybe it's 7-year-old you in that moment when your creativity was corrected. Maybe it's 12-year-old you when your big dreams were dismissed as unrealistic. Maybe it's teenage you when vulnerability led to judgment or rejection. See this younger version of yourself clearly in your mind's eye. Notice what they're wearing, how they're sitting or standing, what expression is on their face. This younger part of you has been working so hard to keep you safe, carrying the responsibility of making sure you never experience that original wounding again. Place your hand more firmly on your heart and speak directly to this younger self, either out loud or silently. Say these words with the gentleness you would use with a frightened child. I see you. I see how hard you've been working to keep us safe. I see how much you care about protecting us from being hurt again. You did such a good job when we were little and needed that protection. But we're not little anymore. We're not in that classroom or that living room or that moment when someone made us feel like our authentic expression wasn't good enough. Take a breath and continue. It's safe to be seen now. It's safe to be imperfect. It's safe to try and stumble and figure it out as we go. The people who are meant to receive what we have to offer will love us not despite our imperfections, but because of them, because our willingness to show up authentically gives them permission to do the same. Now speak these new truths to your nervous system, letting your body hear them in your own voice. I am safe to begin. I am allowed to be seen before I am polished. I do not need certainty to be sincere. My imperfection is not my inadequacy. I am worthy of taking up space exactly as I am right now. My sensitivity is my superpower, not my weakness. I trust my ability to figure it out as I go.
What if I told you that your imperfections aren't obstacles to overcome, but initiations to embrace? What if your half-finished ideas, your rough drafts, your stumbling first attempts aren't evidence of your inadequacy, but proof of your willingness to engage with the mystery of creation? What if your messy, imperfect efforts are actually prayers in motion, offerings to a universe that values authenticity over perfection? You weren't born to deliver polished performance to a world that is itself inherently imperfect, constantly changing, beautifully chaotic and unpredictable. You were born to deliver presence, to be a living transmission of what it looks like to be fully human, to show up with all your contradictions and uncertainties and still choose to create, to love, to contribute something meaningful to the collective human experience. Creation isn't performance for an audience that's keeping score. It's prayer in action, a conversation between your soul and the creative force that moves through all things. Every time you show up without certainty, you're rewiring centuries of conditioning that taught us to hide until we're perfect. Every imperfect attempt is an act of rebellion against the lie that told you to wait, against the voice that said you needed permission from someone else to exist fully and authentically. You are not behind schedule. There is no cosmic timeline that you're failing to meet, no deadline imposed by anyone but yourself. You are not broken or defective or incomplete. You are becoming, and becoming is the most sacred act of all because it requires you to stay open to change, to growth, to the possibility that who you are today is not who you'll be tomorrow. The world doesn't need your perfection. It has no use for another polished performance that hides the beautiful struggle of being human. What the world needs, what it's hungry for, is your truth. It needs your voice, trembling and uncertain as it might be. It needs your art, rough around the edges and real. It needs your love, imperfect and conditional and human. It needs your ideas, half-formed and evolving.
It needs you to model what it looks like to choose courage over comfort, authenticity over approval, presence over perfection. Consider this. Every person's work who's ever moved you, every creator whose expression has ever made you feel less alone, every artist whose imperfect humanity has ever touched your heart, they all had to begin somewhere. They all had to take that first uncertain step, share that first rough draft, have that first awkward conversation. Their willingness to be seen in their imperfection is exactly what made their work powerful and transformative. Maya's purple trees could be exactly what someone needs to see to remember that there's more than one way to perceive beauty. David's transforming bicycle could be the spark that inspires the next breakthrough in sustainable transportation. Your postponed project, your hidden creativity, your delayed expression could be the missing piece in someone else's healing or awakening or transformation. So start, not because the timing is right, because it never will be. Not because you feel ready, because readiness is a moving target that will always stay just out of reach. Not because you have guarantees about the outcome, because the only guarantee in life is uncertainty. Start because your soul is stirring, because something inside you knows that you came here to create, to contribute, to leave the world a little different because you existed in it. Start because even your hesitation is sacred, even your doubt has wisdom to offer, even your fear is information about what matters to you. Let the truth move through you exactly as you are, right now, unpolished and uncertain, and gloriously, unapologetically real. What is one small, imperfect action you could take today towards something that's been calling you? Not perfect action, not guaranteed action, just authentic action that honors the stirring in your soul.
You were never procrastinating in the way you thought you were. You were never lazy or disciplined or lacking in motivation. You were never broken or defective or missing some crucial piece that everyone else seems to have. You were being loyal to an old story of safety, honoring your nervous system's ancient wisdom about what it meant to survive in a world that felt dangerous for your authentic expression. You were protecting a heart that once learned that trying could mean hurting, that being seen could mean being judged, that caring deeply about something could lead to devastating disappointment. But now you know something different. Now you understand that the very sensitivity that made you cautious is also your superpower, that the depth of your caring is what makes your contribution unique and necessary. Now you're ready to honor your soul's deeper truth, which is that you came here not to be perfect, but to be present. Not to have all the answers, but to live the questions with courage and curiosity. And your soul, she's ready to begin. She's been ready all along, waiting patiently for you to remember that you don't need permission from anyone else to exist fully in your imperfection. She's ready to start, even with shaky hands, even without a perfect plan, even with a voice that trembles when it speaks what's true. Because the only permission you've ever needed is your own breath saying yes, your own heartbeat saying now, your own courage saying begin. Begin messy, begin sacred, begin whole, begin exactly as you are, because as you are is exactly how you're supposed to begin. The world is waiting for your imperfect perfection, for the particular way you stumble toward the light, for the unique gift that only you can give when you stop waiting for permission and start trusting the voice inside that knows it's time. Begin now. Begin here. Begin as you are. Your time is now, and you are ready, and the world needs what you have to offer, perfect or not. If your soul just exhaled with recognition, if something inside you feels seen and understood, subscribe to this channel. This isn't about doing more or being more productive. This is about becoming more authentically you, about healing the wounds that keep you from showing up fully in your life. Hit that subscribe button and join a community of souls who are choosing courage over comfort, presence over perfection,